What's going on, everybody? Gilladegreat back at you. Today's edition of Therapy Thursday. Quickly, we want to touch on what's considered toxic masculinity and the way black men are viewed when they express these emotions of, well, actually dealing with emotions or even seeing a therapist, anything like that. So take myself, for example. I go to a therapist on Thursday. That's how Therapy Thursday started. But anyway, I was having a conversation with a great friend, like really close friend. We go way back, and having a discussion who happens to be a female. And I was saying how I've seen a therapist. I've been going through something. It's been the hardest, like, last 6 months of my life, my entire life, over 4 decades. This has been the toughest 6 months ever. And so I'm expressing these things and telling her about it. And she says, hey, I'm shocked. I'm like, why? She was like, when did you become such a pussy? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I don't get it. She's like, the person that I knew never really cared about other people's opinions, never really cared about anything else, did whatever they wanted to do, and didn't seem to have any sort of emotions at all, and just seemed heartless and cold. Which is possibly true at some point, because the environment that I come from, having those type of emotions could get you killed. So coming from an urban environment, as they call it, the hood or whatever, you taught that as a man, you don't deal with those. You don't deal with emotions. You don't express them. You don't deal with it. You can't even acknowledge them, let alone talk about dealing with them and having a discussion on how to deal with them, how to overcome them and get past it, how to control them. Don't happen at all. And then as an adult, you're thrust into these relationships, especially as a marriage or with, your significant other, and you taught to learn how to deal with your emotions and their emotions at the same time, which usually doesn't work out well. And so you probably end up in some situations that you could benefit from other resources like counseling. So basically, she was just saying, when did you become such a pussy? And I was just like, wow. At a point when we talk about toxic masculinity and we talk about how guys are hyper masculine all the time and just extra macho and insensitive to everything, at a point where I'm being sensitive or I'm being vulnerable, because sensitive, I really don't prefer that word either, but I'm being vulnerable, and then she says that I'm being the pussy. So it's kind of like a catch-22. You talk about toxic masculinity and how guys reinforce that behavior throughout their life and then pass it down to other guys and their kids, and it's been going on for a while, but at a point where you have a guy who is actually being vulnerable and putting himself out and wearing his heart on his sleeve, and that's the approach you take. So that actually reinforces toxic masculinity, because then at that point, what you're doing is saying, okay, you can't be sensitive. Don't be that sensitive. Or, but I'm at a point where it could be something, and not even just me. If anybody, let's say anybody, not even just a guy, anybody at that point is feeling something that may be a little bit overwhelming that they can't deal with, or they have never had the tools to work through, are seeking resources, you can't demean them or belittle them or say things to them that make them feel like less of a person, that may even compound the problem. What you should be doing in that instance, and what I encourage everybody to do, is applaud that person. Stand in the gap. Support them. That's what they need, not for you to be like, oh, you going to a therapist. You crazy? I am, but that ain't got nothing to do with that. That's not why I'm seeing a therapist. Anyway, most people mean crazy just mean you think outside the box, and of course, I do. But anyway, they need more encouragement. They don't need you to belittle them. They don't need any of that extra negative stuff to compound the problem. Support them, encourage them, stand in the gap, be there for them. The other stuff is unnecessary. So this is Therapy Thursday. Gilladegreat. Hope that helps somebody. Like, share, subscribe. Pass it on to somebody else who may help. I know some other people going through some stuff who see counselors as well, and they may not feel strong enough to put this out there, but this is me putting my heart on my sleeve again on Therapy Thursday. I holla at y'all. Expect greatness.